Good evening. An inquest has been hearing how a young woman apparently threw herself from a multi-storey car park after absconding from a secure mental health unit where she was being kept for her own safety. Kirsty Rushford had spoken of wanting to kill herself, yet it seems she was able to just walk out of the unit unchallenged and carry out her threats. From Birmingham Coroner's Court, Keith Wilkinson reports.
Kirsty Rushford's family are attending the inquest, including her mum, who today tearfully described her as very bright and bubbly. But for many years, she faced mental health problems, to the point that she was detained for her own safety at a special NHS secure unit, Newbridge House in Birmingham. The inquest jury was told that Kirsty Rushford had emotionally unstable personality disorder. She'd attempted self-harm a number of times in the past. For example, she had attempted to inject herself with rat poison. She'd also scraped and scratched her forearm. She'd made a number of attempts to escape from the ward where she was being held. Psychiatrist Dr. Robert Wall said she'd been kept under observation every hour. She'd made a number of threats, saying she wanted to throw herself off a car park or a high building. Mental health nurse Kay Hill said Kirsty's mood was very changeable. She'd spoken in the past of wanting to leave the ward, to jump from a high building. Adam Chamberlain, a community psychiatric nurse with an office at Newbridge House, was outside the building and saw her walk past. She smiled at him, he smiled back. He said he was not part of the ward team and didn't know she was an inpatient who was not supposed to be out. Normally, he said, if a person absconded, there were alarms going off. The patient was running and staff were chasing. In this case, it appears she simply walked out of a side entrance. Soon afterwards, she was found dying in the street below a multi-storey car park she'd fallen from. The inquest continues tomorrow. Keith Wilkinson, ITV News.
The cost of rural crime in the West Midlands increased by almost 10% in 2013 compared to the previous year. Insurance providers NFU Mutual say the crimes cost the region an estimated £4.5 million. Tools, quad bikes and fuel were the most common items targeted.
Recently, I've noticed smaller theft, vital pieces of equipment to me get stolen and get weighed in for scrap for probably a tenth of their value. On the farm, we can't really police or keep everything under lock and key. Things get put down and the next time we need them, they're gone.
A new study is being carried out to test the effectiveness of vaccinating badgers against TB. Last year, 900 were vaccinated, and those behind the study are training more people to carry out the procedure. It comes as the second year of pilot badger calls are due to take place in Gloucestershire. Ken Goodwin reports.
It's sunrise. The deer are still up and about, but most badgers are back underground in their sets, except these, which have been trapped and are awaiting their TB jabs.
That's the first cage I'll do, yeah. We've got one in this there. There's another cage at the bank and one behind you down there. We've got a badger in every cage here.
Richard is part of the Animal Health and Veterinary Laboratories Agency, which is carrying out a study into the effectiveness of vaccinating badgers against TB.
When it comes to setting the cage, we tie the stone through the back up to this trigger mechanism here. So as soon as the badger pulls the stone, this door drops down onto here, locking this door in place. And it's as simple as that. It's a very simple method, but there's less chance of things going wrong.
Once the badgers have been marked to show they've had their jabs, they're released, unharmed, but eager to get back underground. There are private companies which will vaccinate badgers, but no one can do it without a licence. The agency runs courses for people who want to learn how and has currently trained almost 200 of them.
Well, we get a whole variety of people from different organisations coming in, a lot of wildlife organisations, National Trust, farmers, vets, and they want to take the skills away that they learn here and carry out badger vaccination on their farms or their wildlife reserves.
Not all the data's in from this trial, but initial findings are proving positive. A recent paper reported that vaccination reduces the risk of TB infection in badgers and unvaccinated badger cubs.
We don't believe it has any therapeutic effect, so it won't cure an animal that's got TB, but it does seem to reduce the severity of the disease, and we hope that that might be enough to reduce the amount of disease in badger populations. And then you would expect that if badgers are involved in transmission to cattle, that you would get some kind of benefit in cattle.
But DEFRA says this is not yet a replacement for culling, which will continue this year. Ken Goodwin, ITV News.
Centre in Shropshire, which helps British service personnel who have life-changing injuries after fighting on the front line, is now helping them consider careers in football coaching. The Battleback Centre has started working with the Football Association, which could lead to whole new career paths for some, as Callum Watkinson reports.
After 13 years of war in Afghanistan and 6 in Iraq up to 2009, a new generation of British servicemen and women is learning to live with their wounds, emotional and physical.
It's really hard. I love my job. I love what I was doing out in Afghanistan. I loved everything about it, and I'd do anything to just go back to doing that, but obviously it's not going to happen now.
The blast that took Stephen Bolton's foot also left him with a brain injury that means he can't even remember what happened. Everything up to coming round in hospital back home is a blank.
Waking up in Birmingham and just thinking, I thought I was in a car crash, to be fair, and I didn't know anything about Afghanistan. I was thinking, I went in Afghanistan. So it's pretty horrific.
Stephen is one of 12 Forces personnel taking part in the first Level 1 football coaching course at the Battleback Centre in Shropshire, which provides adventure and sporting activities for the military's wounded and sick.
We don't do a lot with football. We run a lot of other sports and adventurous training courses, but I felt that with the interest in football amongst service personnel, it was important that we included football. For many of our wounded, injured and sick, they can't play football, so coaching was the next thing.
Do you want to keep the ball? And they've had some help from the FA's disability football programme to get things up and running.
There's an obvious link with disability in our disability football programme nationally. The amount of players with an acquired disability is quite large. So there's an obvious link, and what we've tried to do is present some information and some potential opportunities to get involved in football.
That might be a career in coaching, but it's thought that some graduates of this course might even go on to play disability football at a professional level.
I love watching football and I used to play it a lot, and to finally get something offered like this, I was jumped straight on it.
I've always thought about going into engineering and leave the forces. That was my background, but now I'm thinking, well, you know, there's other things out there, you know.
The last of our troops are due home in December. The Afghan war is almost over. But the fight to live a normal life after a battlefield injury is just beginning for thousands of those who fought it. Callum Watkinson, ITV News.
Now, proof if you needed it that it always pays to watch us, because as you remember last week we ran a report about the search to find a lottery winner or winners from Shropshire who had yet to claim £1 million prize. Well, a syndicate from Bridgnorth finally got round to checking their numbers after seeing the appeal on ITV News Central. They matched all 6 numbers in June, and they're now looking forward to a few luxuries with their winnings.
I was watching the Central News and I said, I think we've got these numbers. I went and got my ticket, checked them. I was in a terrible state after that.
It will make all our lives easier, and we can help our children. I can have things done in my garden that I want.
Wonder if we get commission for that. Well, don't forget, the search is ending this Friday to find an amazing fundraiser to represent ITV Central at this year's star-studded Daily Mirror Pride of Britain Awards in London in October. All nomination details are at itv.com/central. Just type in Pride of Britain in the search box. OK, here's your weather with James Wright.
Hi, good evening. Plenty of sunshine around today, but also plenty of showers, and some of those are really quite heavy, even thundery. Now tomorrow it looks as though it'll be a similar picture, might feel a little bit cool and rather breezy. As far as tonight goes, 1 or 2 showers continuing through the night, but on the whole most of the showers will die away, leaving us with clear spells and clear skies and lows of 10 to 12 Celsius. Tomorrow morning might be a little more clouds around, but it should be a half decent start to the day. Won't be too long before those showers get going, and once again 1 or 2 of them could be quite heavy, even thundery in nature. That breeze will help to push those showers through. Unfortunately, it's going to make it rather fresh feeling with highs of just 14 to 16 Celsius. Next few days sees the wind ease off a little bit. Fewer showers and lightly scattered ones on Wednesday. Heavier showers on Thursday, but Friday should be a dry end to the week. Might even last into the weekend. Night-night.
Well, we'll have tonight's football results on our website. We're back tomorrow, but for now, good night.